What is going on, everybody? This is Tyrell from the Nosebleeds, and the Todd Monken era is officially underway. I am your host, Tyrell. Welcome to the show. Please hit that like button. Please share. Please comment. Please subscribe. The whole 9 yards. Welcome to the Nosebleed Show. The Nosebleed section is wide open, so thank you all for joining again today. I have not seen a lick of this press conference whatsoever. I've heard good things about this press conference, but however, I am skeptically optimistic. Usually we see these coaches come in trying to win the press conference, trying to sound all good, trying to sound the Cleveland Browns way, the whole 9 yards. But this is the introductory press conference of Todd Monken coming into Cleveland Brown. This is a live reaction. I know it happened earlier in the day, but like I said, this is my first time watching this. We're going to watch it all the way through in its entirety. So please hit that like button. Please share. Please comment. Please subscribe. So you don't miss out on anything. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on anything. Also, Jimmy Haslam and Andrew Berry did a press conference today. We will not be covering that press conference today. That will be a separate video. And tomorrow, for my wrestling fans out there, we're going to talk about the Royal Rumble. We have more wrestling content coming onto the channel as well. So just thank you all for, again, whether you're popping in, first time here, welcome. Welcome back if you're returning, if you're just popping in, if you're staying for the whole stream. I greatly appreciate it. I want to know what you guys think. So let me know in the comment section. Was this the right hire? Did we overreact? I'm going to talk about my reaction after a week later. And check out the previous live streams because we talked about Todd Monken getting hired a week ago. And my reaction to that during that time. And my reaction has changed. So make sure you stay tuned at the end of the show to hear my thoughts on the hire now that the dust has settled and everything like that. Let me not waste any of you guys' time anymore because you're not here to see me talk the whole hour and some change. This is fair use. Okay, I want to reiterate fair use, fair use, fair use. Fair use act is intact for this. And we're just gonna let this play out for the most part. I will be jumping in every once in a while for reactions. Just so the video don't get copyrighted or anything like that. So without further ado, let me not waste y'all time anymore. This is the official Todd Monken press conference. Again, 19th head coach in team history. Let's go to the podium.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Really exciting day. I am thrilled to announce Todd Monken as our new head coach. And before inviting Todd up to speak, I actually wanted to give a little bit of context and background of what led us to this decision. Coming out of 2025, the first thing we wanted to do is say, okay, like where are we from a team standpoint? Where are we from a roster standpoint? And we looked at it and we said, hey, we're coming out of 2025. We have the 8th youngest defense in terms of experience, a group that's very complete at all 3 levels and that we feel really good about. On the offensive side of the ball, we looked and we felt like we had a number of young, pillar cornerstone pieces, but we envision a world where that side of the ball is going to have pretty significant turnover over the next several months. And then from a resource standpoint, we looked at the team and said we're flush with, draft resources entering this offseason, as well as the appropriate amount of flexibility from a financial perspective. So as we looked at everything and we thought about what we needed from, our head coach, particularly in this phase, the first thing we actually looked at is we wanted someone who could lead, develop, and grow a young team. Because quite frankly, we're probably going to be, if not the youngest, one of the youngest teams in football in 2026. The second thing that we wanted, certainly in the short term, was a coach, didn't matter the background, that had a very strong and adaptable offensive plan, given the amount of turnover we're going to have on that side of the ball, both in terms of personnel, scheme, you name it. In addition to that very specific problem, we were looking at individuals that had 4 key attributes. The first is something that we categorize as global intelligence. So that's not just cognitive ability or IQ, that's EQ and football acumen as well. The second is something that we term CEO leadership. So that's someone who has the ability to function at what we would call 30,000 feet, as well as the tactical level at ground level. The third, we wanted someone who had a demonstrated track record of innovation where they've been. And then the fourth, we wanted someone who had the characteristics of collaboration, given the head coaching position touches so many different areas in football operations in the modern day game. So what we did to assess, all of those characteristics with many of the fine coaches we met with, we looked at their performance track record, where they've been throughout all their career, how their units have done. We did a number of reference calls throughout people who had been in direct working relationship with the candidates throughout all stops of their career. We did testing, we did work samples, and we also did the interview. And we combined all of that information to make a good decision about who would serve us best, who would serve the organization best with the problem that we're trying to attack with where our team is currently. And when we did that, Todd stood head and shoulders above the rest.
I'm gonna pause it right here real quick. So pretty much confirming that they did the testing. References, I mean, that's not uncommon. I mean, we have to give out references as normal or as normies. But like, this is Andrew Berry's job. This is Andrew Berry's job, essentially. Like, if the Monken hire doesn't work out, like I say, around this time next year, maybe even 2 years at the most, we're looking at a completely clean house. And I just don't think it'll be just Monken and Berry. I think it'll be everybody in that front office that'll be completely cleaned out, gutted out, whatever you want to call it. So this is very important for Andrew Berry as far as his current job with the Cleveland Browns. Very, very important. And, the whole ground level thing, elevation level thing, I'm not going to lie to you people. I don't know what the fuck he talking about. Like, is he talking about somebody that's level-headed, somebody that can stay grounded in emotional thoughts and can make wise decisions no matter the pressure of the game? Maybe that's what he's thinking, what he's talking about. But like, to be like, hey, we want somebody that is, high in elevation at 30,000 feet and also grounded. To a lot of people, that just sounds like a bunch of fancy corporate words. Yes, your head coach should be your CEO. Yes, this is going to be a completely different offense. Yes, we need to attack the offense in the offseason. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Was Todd Monken the right hire? I don't know. But we're going to have to attack this for sure.
Todd's like really, really, really unique. If you look at his history, his career history, this is a coach who has had high-level, innovative, adaptable offenses at both the pro and college level. Doesn't matter the personnel, didn't matter the quarterbacks, didn't matter what he inherited. He always found a way to have, high-level and productive units. It became very apparent in everybody that we talked to about Todd how strong he was working and developing with young players. I think that's one of the beauties of Todd's experience is he does have pro and college experience as a coach, and that transfers in terms of how he leads and grows young players. The third, the mentors that he's worked for, most recently Kirby Smart and John Harbaugh, arguably the best in the business in pro and college. And the lessons that Todd has learned and applied from those coaches has been outstanding. And then the last thing is he understands the job. I mean, the work that he did at Southern Miss, inheriting a program at its historical nadir, turning it around with few resources, shows he has like the leadership, the gumption, and the resourcefulness to do this job at any level. So for us, we felt like he fit us like a glove. And we are so excited to have him and his family in Cleveland. I guess I should say back to Cleveland, Todd. But we're really stoked to have him. And so without further ado, Todd Monken.
Like I said, this is not Todd Monken's first stint with the Cleveland Browns. He was the offensive coordinator under the Freddie Spaghetti administration. Like I said last week, it is put up or shut up time for Todd Monken. He sat back and was laughing and also sitting back and saying, you know what? This team is not being ran right. This team is being is dysfunctional. And now is your time to put up or shut up. It's your time to put up or shut up. So we're gonna see what's gonna happen with good old Todd Monken here.
Wow, man, am I excited to lead this flagship, franchise, NFL franchise. I mean, It's been a long time coming. Really has been a long journey. And there's a lot of people as we get down the road here that I'm going to have to thank, but I'm jacked. I mean, I'm excited to be with the Cleveland Browns. I mean, it really, it's hard to even put into words. First off, I want to thank Dee and Jimmy, Whitney and JW for entrusting me in this opportunity to help build a winning team with the NFL's most passionate and dedicated fan base, including the Dog Pound. Secondly, I want to thank Andrew. Pointed that way, but you're right there. I want to thank Andrew Berry. Crazy enough, in 2019, when I interviewed here, my contact was Andrew, and actually was the first gentleman that I met with when I came in the building. And I could tell right away that our alignment and his clear vision for how you build a roster and how you develop players, we were aligned. And I look forward to being connected at the hip and building this roster to a championship level, consistent championship level. He mentioned the last few years, getting an opportunity to work with Kirby Smart and John Harbaugh, two of the elites in the game. When you talk about getting a doctorate in coaching, wow. I owe a lot to them. They entrusted me to elevate the offenses at both places, which is a credit to the staff we had and the players we had, because you can't do it alone. You absolutely cannot do this alone. It takes an army, and I owe a lot of gratitude to them. The one thing I learned being with both of them, I always thought I understood what it meant to confront anything that gets in the way of winning football. And what's interesting is they get to the same point. They just do it completely differently. But it's an art, because ultimately, just like I would have with my son, just like our children, you're going to confront anything that gets in the way of helping them become the best version of them. And that's your job with something that you love. And that's something I've never taken for granted with any job I've ever had, is fighting to confront anything that gets in the way of winning football. And I owe a lot to Coach Harbaugh. He hired me out of Georgia, took a shot on a college coordinator, trying to elevate Lamar in the offense. And I learned a ton. He is elite at messaging with a team, especially with an NFL team, and how you deal with players and how you confront anything that gets in the way of winning without being confrontational. To me, that's an art. That's an art. Thank you, Coach. And then the last thing, shit. I told myself I wasn't going to cry, for God's sakes. I want to thank my mom and dad.
I thought he was going to pull out. If you guys know about the Bill Belichick story with the New York Jets, I kind of referenced this last week. You know, Belichick pulled out the napkin, and it was his resignation letter to the Jets. For a brief moment, I was like, what did this dude is crying like? This is about one chance to be a head coach. This is the Brown head coach. And I'm about to pull out my napkin, man. But it's good to see some passion, and you can kind of tell that this is a huge moment for Todd. This is a huge moment in his career. Head coach at Southern Miss from 2013 to 2015, Conference USA, head coach of the year. Like I said, I'm going to let this press conference play for the most part, but I had the fair use thing scrolling at the bottom, so I do have to jump in every once in a while because we are critiquing and reviewing this press conference. Back to Todd Monken.
No longer with us, my brothers, Tony and Ted. College roommates. Drove up here to be here today. My father-in-law, Chuck. My son, Travis, proud of the man you've become, and his fiancée, Hannah. And my wife, Terry, been together 40 years, been married 34. Of course, she would say that's probably 6 because you're actually married to the game. So, but it's been an unbelievable journey. Thank you. I love you. Before I take any questions, I just want to. There's something that I've kind of always lived by as a position coach, as a coordinator, and I will as a head coach. And Jim and Dee and Jimmy they cut a check with my name on it. And you know what they expect? A freaking kick-ass football team. That's what they
damn
expect.
right.
And you know what they want?
I'm gonna say this. It ain't just, I know Jimmy and D are cutting the checks, but this entire fan base is expecting this. We have waited way too long. We need a kick-ass football team, man. We need it. So Todd, let's do this. Like I said, I don't need sound bites to win the press conference to make it look good and everything, just to get a bunch of Stefanski-isms and Hugh Jackson-isms and all this other crap. But like, yeah, this city deserves this. This fan base, not just the city of Cleveland, but we have fans throughout the entire world. Cleveland Browns fans deserve a fucking winner, and not just a 1-year winner. We deserve a consistent winner.
They want to become a winning franchise that our fan base in our region is proud of. That's all they've been about, is how you build a winning franchise that consistently competes for championships. And you know what? My job is to prove it every single day, and I appreciate that. Thank you. And with that, let's go with some questions.
For questions, why don't we raise our hands and introduce yourself, even though you may already know Todd. Reintroduce yourself to him. Mary Kay?
Up, the nosebleed section's favorite. Of course, she gets the first question. Oh, Mary Kay. Let's. She already started her media blitz tour of defending the organization and defending the hiring, which, you know, we're used to Mary Kay spewing out her own personal shit without reporting a fucking thing. Okay? So let's hear what the nosebleed section's number one fan supporter, the number one person in the nosebleed section. Well, let's hear what Mary Kay got to say. I'm tired of Mary Kay. Kevin Stefanski used to say my name all the time. He used to say my name. He used to be like, "That's a good question, Mary Kay. That's a good question, Mary." He'd be like, "I'm like, oh, Kevin, you said my name. You said my name, Mary. You said my name, Kevin. You gonna say my name, Todd?"
Hi, Todd. Welcome back.
Hi, Todd. Welcome
Mary
back.
Kay Cabot,
Mary Kay
Cleveland.com,
Cabot,
Cleveland Plain Dealer.
Cleveland.com,
Well, I guess I'll start right off the bat with the question probably everybody wants to know. Will you head into this offseason with Shedeur Sanders as your QB1? And if
Can't
not,
answer that.
what is your approach to the whole quarterback situation as you move into your new job?
That's not a bad question for
Well, I
once,
think like
Mary.
any position on the team, that's still to be determined. Am I excited about Shedeur? Am I excited about all the quarterbacks in the room? Am I excited to coach this football team? Absolutely. I can't wait for them to get back and for us to get started.
Joe Reedy, Associated Press. Todd, you mentioned in a Harbaugh Coaching Academy video your 2019 stint here. There was a lot of drama that the coaching staff couldn't control. Now that you're the head coach and learning from Kirby and Harbaugh, how do you manage that so that there isn't that drama?
Well, first off, I learned a lot in that 2019 season. I think you learn a lot. In fact, you learn a heck of a lot more when things aren't going well than when it is going well. And I learned a lot of things that I would have done different, and I think collectively would have done different. And I've seen it from a different angle, different point of view. But I'm ready to move forward with this team, the 2026 team.
Chris?
I'm gonna say this. That's a good answer to that. But if this turns out to be a shit show, they're going to bring up those comments. And I referenced those comments a lot that he said about Freddie Spaghetti and how things were ran when Freddie was the head coach and he was the offensive coordinator. Those comments are going to resurface on a national scale. Right now, we're talking about it locally and everything like that. I haven't really seen it on ESPN or something like that. Poor journalism by ESPN. But like, it's been referenced. You know, at least 92.3 The Fan has referenced it multiple times about that article. We referenced it here in the Nosebleed section on the Nosebleed show. about that article. So if things go sour very fast, that article will be referenced a lot. So yes, we need to move forward, but at the same time, we also will not be surprised if things do not go good and that article comes back up.
Hey Todd, Chris Easterling, Akron Beacon Journal. Just want to ask you, as a former quarterback, what is it you're specifically looking for in a quarterback? What is that trait? What are the traits that you feel like are critical for a successful quarterback, regardless of level?
Well, I'm just going to start with personality traits. I mean, when you talk about who's going to lead this team, who has the it factor, who has those characteristics that the team wants to follow and believes in them because the ball's in their hand every down. This game's going to come down to 2-minute situations, 4-minute situations where you've got to be able to execute at a high level. And we're just talking about some of the characteristics that you're looking for, let alone some of the physical traits that we'll get a chance to talk about later.
Let's go Scott, Dan, and then Jimmy.
Hey Todd, Scott Petra from the Chronicle Telegram. You said it was a long time coming. When did you first start to think about being an NFL head coach? And did you feel you'd come close before? And then what does it feel like finally now?
Well, first off, I played at Knox College and my dad were high school coaches and my uncles were high school coaches. So that was just a dream. But I've been part of a team since I've been 5 years old, the Purple Pounders of Wheaton, Illinois. And it's the coolest thing ever to be part of a team. Let's just put it that way. Okay. All I ever wanted to do is be part of a team and coach football. That's all. I mean, other than my mom making an Evel Knievel outfit or an astronaut, I was a football player every Halloween. That's all I ever dressed up as. You name it, that's what I dressed up as. When I was a kid, everybody else was getting trains. They were getting Army men. I was getting football games. My dad, every single the little vibrating football game or talking football or rubber band football, every single game I ever got was about football. So all I ever want to do is coach and be part of a team. To me, it's not until you get into the NFL that you ever process like the opportunity could potentially be there to be a head coach in the NFL. Obviously, you have to probably reach the coordinator level to where that becomes a possibility. And there have been times before where I've been close. And I believe God put you at the right place at the right time. And that is now.
Dan?
Dan Lobby, Cleveland.com. This kind of goes with Scott's question. Obviously, you've been saying it's a long time coming. Did you at any point think something like this wouldn't happen for you? And does that, I guess, does that make this opportunity more meaningful for you?
For sure. I mean, I'm not getting any younger. I mean, let's be real honest here. Although I'll say this, that the version you're getting of me now is a hell of a lot better than would have been 15, 20 years ago. So I'll at least say that. Okay. But you get to the point where this is God's plan, which is fine. To be an offensive coordinator in the NFL or even coach in the NFL, I don't think people really realize there's 32 NFL teams. There's approximately 68. I don't even know how many more there are. Power 4 jobs. So whatever job
They far and few in
we
between.
have, be it in the NFL or a Power 4 school, there's only 100 of you in the whole world. That's all there is. Within a 30-mile radius, there might be 100 doctors, 100 attorneys. You talk about a small group, talking about an elite group of men. So sure, there's a time where you think that's not going to happen. But very appreciative for the jobs that I've had and the players that I've been around and the coaches that have helped me get to where I'm at, because you absolutely cannot do it alone.
Let's go Jimmy, then we're going to go Ashley, then we're going to go Terry.
Jimmy Watkins, Cleveland.com. Todd, you're known as a straight shooter. That's
need
what
it.
they say about you. How do you set that culture of accountability in a way that doesn't turn players off, so to speak?
Look, I'm gonna keep it a buck. You just got you got to be blunt. I just, there's a part of me that cannot stand that coaching has gone away from being blunt, and you got to handle people with kids' gloves, and oh, you got to hold them accountable, but you don't want to make them mad. No, this is football. This is a men's game. This is a tough game, and you need to have tough-skinned people to be coached. That's the problem that we're having. He shouldn't. I'm not sitting back and saying be drill sergeant and full metal jacket mode and all this other stuff and blah blah blah, right? But what I'm saying is like this shouldn't it shouldn't even be a question. Like, it's not a bad question, but it shouldn't even be a question of how you're gonna handle holding these players accountable without making them upset. No, make these players upset. They want to go somewhere else, go somewhere else. Coaches used to say all the time, I don't want this guy on my team if he doesn't want to be here, because he's a detriment to the team if he doesn't want to be here. Whatever his motivation is, he doesn't want to be here, get him off the team. He's upset with me because I'm holding him accountable and I'm in this and I'm talking to him face to face with the upraised voice, maybe a little bit of yelling because you're not doing your job, because I'm holding you accountable or I'm trying to show you something. And you're consuming, like, times are different. Times are different. When I played sports, which was few far in between because financial reasons, whatever. But when I played, coaches had no issue pissing you off. They had no issue making you mad because it made you better. It made you better.
Great question. Like I said before, I think you have to hold the players accountable for what they say their dreams and aspirations are. You have to find out what really do you want individually with your career, and then what do you want collectively as a team. And all you're doing is holding them to what their goals and aspirations are, like people did for me. I am who I am because my parents did that for me. They didn't do that to me. They did that for me. And that's the way I go about it, is I think everybody likes honesty till they don't like what's said to them honestly. And I'm the same way. I'm no different. I like being stroked in a good way. I'm no different.
But pause.
I don't like the other side of it. But that's how I've gotten a lot better. And the people that love you the most, they're going to be honest with you. But all it is finding out what are your dreams and aspirations, and then let's fight like hell to achieve them.
Ashley Bastock, Cleveland.com. Just wondering, being in the division, like what your impression as a coordinator was of this defense, and if you've had a chance to talk to Jim or anything yet.
Good question. Good question. He was in this division for 3 years. He would know what this defense looked like, and he would know what this defense looks like. All right. Again, they got some extra reporters in here because we've watched a good amount of press conferences on this show. Last year, never heard this lady's voice. I don't know if she always just stood there and just kept typing away, but they got some extra people up in that press conference. I got the fair use banner down here. I got to cut in every once in a while to uphold that fair use. I know you guys don't want to hear me talk all like that, but, got to do it so this video don't get taken down, this live stream don't get taken down.
Give me that again, the last part.
If you've had a chance to talk to Jim Schwartz.
I have. Okay, so with that, I've had a chance to talk with Jim. But it's been a bitch, I apologize, to go against this defense 6 times over the last 3 years. Schematically, and more importantly, the players. Because ultimately, it's a player's game. That's what it is. It's our job as coaches to develop systems that allow your players to play fast. People talk about time speed. It's really not about time speed. It's about how they play on the field.
That's a fact.
And that's developing schemes, in my opinion, or systems, as Coach Harbaugh used to call it, with elegant simplicity, where they can function at a high level and play fast. And that's what you saw all the time with the guys that are here and the players that we have. But at the end of the day, I say this all the time. From an offense or defensive perspective, it starts with having elite players and then having an elite coaching staff with you. And then you can call the game freely because of that. because of the talent you have, and then because of the players, I mean, with the coaches that help it come to life. You know, that's what makes a coordinator elite. It's not one individual person. And when we get ready for the Browns, when we used to get ready for the Browns, excuse me, I mean, it'll be more fun and not have to worry about chipping 95 every down and distance. I can tell you that.
Terry, then Tony, then Mary Kay.
Terry Pluto, Point Dealer, Cleveland.com. Two things what you mentioned about the defense there. I'm just curious, sir, where do you stand with Schwartz? Is he coming back, or what do you know so far?
Well, first of all,
Good question, Terry.
I think Jim is an outstanding defensive coordinator. I think we all would agree with that, but I think it's a little inappropriate for me to comment about that at this time.
And secondly, when you looked at the Browns from the outside, you just mentioned the defense, but just in general, you've been through some situations where it's been big turnarounds. I know Southern Miss, I think you were 0-12 or whatever the first year. And what does it take to get, especially in the NFL, to get a turnaround situation going?
Terry killing it with the questions.
Perseverance, because it's hard. I mean, winning's hard. I mean, it is hard, but the reward is unbelievable. I mean, that's what was fun about the thoughts of being the head coach here. I mean, if you like a challenge, let's go. Let's get this to where we're the standard, and the time is now. The timing is now. It's hard. It's perseverance, mental toughness, surrounding yourself with the right people, staffing, and then player wise that want to run into that smoke. Because not everybody wants to run that smoke.
That's
not everybody
facts.
wants to look at it like it's 4th and 1 every day. And it is. It's 4th and 1 every day.
Nate, then Mary Kay.
Hey, Todd. Nate Ulrich, Akron Beacon Journal. Clearly, this means so much to you. So when you were at Georgia, you win the national championship back-to-back. You come back in the NFL. Did you come back to the league with the goal to become a head coach? Was that in your thinking?
100%. I called around to coaches in the NFL. I wanted to hear what it was like to be a head coach in the NFL. Because I tried to get a hold of Cliff Kingsbury and I couldn't. He was in like Tahiti or something. So that one, thank God I didn't get him because I might not have left Georgia. I got a hold of 3 or 4 other coaches, Kevin being one of them. And I asked them, do you enjoy being a head coach in the NFL? Do you enjoy everything that comes with it? It's not easy. It isn't. And to a man, all of them said they loved it, be it Matt LaFleur, be it Kevin Stefanski, and others that I reached out to, because it was the only reason for me to leave Georgia. Well, why else would I leave Georgia? We're winning, going to have good players. The culture's already set. So that was one part of it. The other part was the challenge of where we could take the team out east offense and how we could elevate Lamar Jackson. And like I said, I owe a lot to the players that were there and the coaching staff that we put together to help us do that. But ultimately, that was my goal, was to come back, to put yourself in a position to one day sit in this chair, be one of the 32.
And he did. It's crazy as it seemed, and I even referenced this last week on our last live stream, right? Like, he made Lamar Jackson so much better as a pocket passer than Lamar was that first 3 years, right? Those first 3-4 years in the league compared to like what he was like outside of last year. Like, last year was a complete anomaly for the Baltimore Ravens, like in my opinion, right? And for Lamar Jackson, just a complete anomaly. But like, he made Lamar Jackson a better pocket passer. Look at those 2 out of those 3 years. You know, won the MVP, probably should have won MVP last year in 2024 before they gave it to Josh Allen. 41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 4,000 yards passing, 1,000 yards rushing, first person in NFL history to have that accomplishment in the same season. Todd Monken's offense, the scheming and the coaching. So I'll explain what I'm feeling now. Like I said, just stick around for that if you guys want to. The feeling last week compared to this week is completely different for me.
Mary Kay, then Tony.
Our favorite, Mary Kay. I don't know why she got another
Todd,
question.
On the day that Jim Schwartz supposedly left the building and said he wasn't coming back, Myles Garrett had a reaction to that
Oh
on
my
Instagram where he
gosh.
showed,
Stir
you know,
up
someone
shit.
hanging their head. Denzel Ward has said, I really want Jim Schwartz back here. So my question to you is, I know you can't go into detail about your convo with Jim, but what can you say to these players, or how confident are you that these players are going to like the direction that you're going to be able to go on defense? And will you be able to maintain the incredibly high standards of the defense, even if Jim doesn't come back?
Y'all let me know in the comments if y'all have a problem with that question. If y'all see a problem with that question. Like, it's already so much shit going on with the Browns. And here she go stirring up the pot. I'm Mary Kay Cabot. Like, what? So my question to you is what can you say to the players about them losing their coach potentially, or whatever it may be? We know about what, like, yes, he knows about it. What you got to bring it up for? Somebody already brought up Schwartz. He said, I'll talk to him. It's not my place to talk about what happened. I don't know what Todd's going to say to this, but Todd, just let Todd answer that, because shit like that is why Mary Kay is our favorite.
Well, first off, my anticipation is we're not going to change the system. Very difficult to go against. Not planning on changing the system. We're built for the system that they're in currently. And I'm not going to get into staffing because that's not at this time to get into that. But they can be rest assured that we're going to keep the same system. We're still going to let them attack. We're still going to let them play free. I can't see any other way. They're a big reason why I took this job. The defensive players. I didn't take this job because of Jim Schwartz. I have a lot of respect for Jim Schwartz, but as I would hope he has for me. But I took it because of the players that are here, the ownership, Andrew Berry, and the ability to build this roster from the ground up on the offensive side. So, and I said this to the other guys. I didn't think I'd say it, but I'm going to say it. When I was preparing for the Cleveland Browns, I wasn't trying to chip Jim Schwartz. I was chipping Myles Garrett. And when I was sliding a protection to the outside backers or Grant Delpit that were blitzing off the edge, I was sliding the protection of the players. And when I was worried about throwing to the right against Denzel Ward or Tyson Campbell to the left, that's who I was worried about throwing at.
And that's how you shut down the Mary Kay Cabot bullshit. See, Stefanski would have been like, you know, Mary Kay, you know, we just got to get better. We just got to get, you know, Mary Kay. He was like, you know, Mary Kay. And she's like, oh, Kevin, he said my name. And I'm flustered. He said my name. Todd was like, hey, I can't talk about staffing, regardless of Jim Schwartz come back or not, because that's the mindset you got. If he wants to be a part of the program, cool. If not, cool. But either way, these players that is on this team, on this defense, I am going to find a guy that is going to have the same philosophy of having these players play freely, having these players attack, and having a scheme that fits the personnel. He shut that shit down, Mary Kay. I know Mary Kay wasn't happy. She ain't see with Kevin, she was used for 6 years. She was used to Kevin Stefanski giving her the questions and answers that she wanted. The answers to the questions that she wanted. She's used to that. We watched it on a press conference. What was that? After the what was that? The Tennessee game? The Tennessee game where she was like, what message do you have to the Tennessee Titans and how they played this game and blah, blah, blah. Like, I remember going like, what a stupid fucking question or statement to ask. And she continuously does this, whether it's in the press conference room or on social media. Like just and then she gets into, I'm the first person to report that. I'm the first person to report that. Now her name don't get called. Now it's not, that's a good question, Mary. Now it ain't leaning into what she want to hear. So she can go right here on this phone on Twitter and all this other job turkey bull crap. Todd shut it down. That's a dub in my book.
Tony?
It's a dub in the nosebleed section.
Todd, Tony Grossi, ESPN Cleveland. Welcome back. We're still here. It's common knowledge now that Baltimore wanted to draft Shedeur. How much did you contribute to that decision at the time with Baltimore? Did you do any personal scouting of him, and what were your thoughts back then?
I think it'd be unfair for me to comment on another organization's process. I think that would just be unfair for me to go in depth of where we were at in the draft. Obviously, we had an affection, like a lot of teams, of Shedeur's skill set and what we thought he could become. But I really wouldn't want to go in depth of another team's process.
Daniel?
Hey Todd, Daniel Yafusi, ESPN. A lot has been made about, the flexibility of your scheme and bending it to the talents of your players. But, from a macro view, when people envision a Cleveland Browns offense under Todd Monken, what do you want them to see?
Well, that's a question I get asked all the time. Like, what system do you run? What is that? And the way I'll try to phrase it is to score any way possible. I don't care what it takes to score. It's about scoring points. I would hate to put some sort of any type of connotation as to what system that we are, other than playing to our players' strengths. I think one of the things that our staff, including myself, have been able to do is take advantage of what a player can do and not what they can't do. Every player in the NFL is elite, and they all have a trait, at least one trait, that allows them to, I don't want to say this, allows them to function, play at a high level. You just got to find what that is and not try to put a square peg in a round hole, taking advantage of what they do. And I think that's what we've been able to do consistently.
Cool.
Hey, Todd, Justin Cooper, ESPN Cleveland. Hey, after being here in 2019 and the well-documented struggles after the last 2 years of this organization, what makes you confident that you're the guy that could lead this team and turn this franchise around?
Beautiful question.
Well, it's interesting that you asked that, because in the interview, there was a question that came up about strength as a head coach. And the other was where your gaps as a coach, where you need help, where you can use people to fill in those gaps. And the other was, how would you envision yourself being unsuccessful? That's not even in my vocabulary. It just isn't.
That cooks.
Scott?
Todd, I got two quick ones for you. Are you going to call the plays?
Yes.
And then you've mentioned 95 a couple of times. How well did you know Miles in the year you were here, and how have you seen him evolve as a player since then?
Well, probably when I was here for that short period, I would say that I didn't know Miles very well, other than I loved his personality. I loved his charisma. I mean, always a smile on his face. At that time, I thought, holy cow, this guy runs like a wideout. This guy looks like a skilled player. I mean, this guy is, elite. And he's always had it in him, but you can just see the last few years that his evolution in terms of blocking schemes, how teams try to prevent him from getting to the quarterback, which opens up opportunities for others. I think his awareness of what teams are trying to do, I think they've done a great job of moving him around, because that's important. that definitely gets into a coordinator's head in game planning of where he's located. You can see it with every team that plays against Miles.
Let's go Spencer, then Sable, then Cam.
I think you guys followers of this channel know I am not the biggest fan of coaches making the play calls, offense, defensively. I get it. The coordinators are going to be there to help with the game planning and strengthening and organizing the game plan and the play sheet and the whole 9 yards. I'm a little bit I got the old mentality of if you have a coordinator, offense, defense, special teams, whatever the case may be. Okay, my bad. I had a little bit of glitch in the system, but we're back. As I was saying, yeah, I am a guy that just believes that if you have coordinators, I pressed the wrong button on my mouse. If you have coordinators, then they should be the ones making the play calls. You are there to be the CEO, to manage everything else. I just think you're putting too much. It's like you already got the mashed potatoes, you got the chicken, you got the green beans or the peas, you got a dinner roll, whatever the case may be, and then you turn around and you throw mac and cheese on it. Like, I love mac and cheese, but that's too much starch. But we'll see what happens. All right, back to Todd Monken.
Spencer German, Browns Roundtable and Locked On Browns. I saw there was a clip that you had of talking about coaching Lamar and how, you even felt like there were some things that you could have done better working with him. So I guess I just ask, what did you learn from coaching Lamar for the 3 years you were there? And what were some of the biggest challenges and things that you kind of bring with you now to this job?
Well, first off, I think I didn't get to where I'm at as a human being or a coach without owning and then fighting like hell to fixing. And I think that's important in a relationship. I think that's important in life, is there's a certain amount of, bar graph here, follow me, of that 10%, 15% bitching, complaining, self-preservation mode that we can all get in when things go bad or things are tough, which that's life. That's relationships, that's coaching. But the other 85 to 90% is owning your mistakes because we're human and then fighting like hell to fix them. And that's what I've been about. The moment you get, you're about to go. The moment that graph elevates and the other one shrinks, you're not in the place you want to be at. First of all, Lamar and my relationship was awesome. We get along great. We didn't have the success last year for a number of reasons, and it doesn't matter. Fact. He was banged up. I would have loved to have seen it. He'd been healthy the whole year, but he was not. Doesn't matter. We didn't at times didn't give ourselves the best chance to be successful. Then you got to own that. That's part of what we do.
Good answer.
Todd, John Sable, Fox 8 here in Cleveland. I covered you for a few years there in Tampa when you were with the Buccaneers. You mentioned how you've grown since your stay here in 2019. How have you changed as a coach in your offensive philosophy since your last one of your first spots there in the NFL in Tampa when you had to develop a Jameis Winston and a team that was young and was trying to take that next step then?
I would say what's changed dramatically, and I'm going to talk a little bit philosophically more than I will about the team itself. What's really changed the last few years is situational football, the analytics that have changed. Conversion downs, the way you approach down and distance in the game, when you're going to take shots, when it's 4-down territory. More and more teams are going for it on 4th down. It's conversion downs, not just 3rd downs. I get a big kick out of defensive personnel when it's 4th and 2 and they stop them and they put their fist up like it's 4th down. No, we're not punting. Like teams don't punt anymore. Like you didn't really get them stopped yet. And I'm not making fun of that or making light. That's just how the game has changed in terms of your situational awareness of where you're putting yourself in position to keep the football and maximize your opportunity to score points. That's what's changed the most in the game, is the analytical part of what wins, what drives winning. And that's just not down and distance driven. That's tactical driven across the board. Concepts, players, matchups, all of that. That's changed dramatically over the years. And that's one thing that getting back in the NFL is when understanding that the critical plays in a game that changed the game. When we ran that Mark Andrews fake sneak around the end here this year, that was something we'd oiled up for 3 weeks. That was a play off a play. That was Coach Harbaugh's idea. I don't care whose idea it is, where it comes from. If it helps us win, that's what's most important. But it wasn't just a fly.
And I don't want to pause it in the middle of his question, but I was at that game where they pulled that off. And it's so crazy because they do that, right? And then Stefanski literally started trying to do the same thing. And you could tell he grabbed it from that Baltimore game. Yeah.
By your seat of the pants. Let's just see if it works this way. No, it came up in that situation at a critical time. And that's the difference when you're looking for margins that help you win close games, which is what the NFL is all about.
Let's go Cam, then Jeff, then Joe. To close it out, Joe.
Good. Don't worry, Mary Kay.
Todd, Cameron Justice, News 5 Cleveland.
I like Cameron.
You talked about it a little bit, your approach in player development, but as that's an attribute that's been something that has been like top of mind for this hire and for you, what makes your approach to player development so unique and different, not just maybe in the young players and rookies that are going to be coming in, but the guys on the fringe, guys that are in that practice squad role looking to move up? And how do you approach that with depth as well?
Cameron, this is why I mess with you. Like you are the opposite of Mary Kay in a very positive way. You need to be the main female beat reporter for the Cleveland Browns. Get Mary Kay up out of there.
Well, I think first off, as coach, we could never forget that we have a job for our players, ever. That's why we have a job. And we're in the development business. I know that's just the start of it. I'm kind of repeating what you said. Because no one has a ready-made roster. You only have so many picks. That's what you have. So it's starts with the top that believes in that, then the head coach, then down to the assistant coaches that we're going to coach everybody. At some point, they're all going to play for us. At some point, that's going to come up. And the best way to build their confidence is to spend time with them. That's the biggest thing. And to develop every aspect of their game, that's in the classroom and on the field. And everybody has a hand in this. Everybody from sports science to our coaching staff to what we've seen at the beginning in terms of their skill set and how that fits with what we want to do.
Jeff, News Herald. Todd, you were asked about the quarterbacks at the very beginning. How would you assess the current receivers and offensive line?
Great question. We need.
Well, it's kind of a work in progress. It's kind of hard right now because right now we're spending the majority of our time on building an elite staff. I mean, that's really what we're doing right now. There'll be time for me to really get a chance to assess the receiver room. Most of it's been from afar, and same with the offensive line, and how we're going to construct the roster moving forward, especially offensively.
Joe, to close.
Todd, to close it out,
Joe.
just what's your timeline as far as hoping to complete a coaching staff?
I don't control that. I mean, we're going to vet as many candidates as we can to get it right. When I was a head coach at Southern Miss, we lost right.
hoping to complete.
Sorry, I have to rewind it because what?
Joe to close.
Todd, to close it out, just what's your timeline as far as hoping to complete a
timeline.
coaching staff?
I thought he said he don't control hiring the coaching staff at first. I was like, whoa. But okay, timeline.
I don't control that. I mean, we're going to vet as many candidates as we can to get it right. When I was a head coach at Southern Miss, we lost a coach, and Pete Golding, who's now the head coach at Ole Miss, he was our 8th safety interview. Our 8th. Our D coordinator was absolutely livid of why it took so long. We didn't get the right hire. We hadn't found it yet. I think just like they all vetted for the head coaching position, don't get worn out. Make sure you get the right people at the start. And that's what we're going to do. So there is no timeline to get it right.
Just, you've been in the division a long time. What do you think it's going to be like competing against Baltimore and Pittsburgh and Cincinnati this year? Baltimore and Pittsburgh, obviously, with new staffs. You were involved with plenty of shootouts with Cincinnati when you were with the Ravens.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
All right, gang, that concludes our questions. We're going to pose for some photos. Andrew, Barry, and Jimmy are going to be available in the room next door if the cameras want to start breaking down for that.
All right. And that is the press conference of Mr. Todd Monken. Mary Kay, get her out of the media room, please. Like I said, Andrew Berry and Jimmy Haslam, they had their own separate press conference that followed that shortly, but we're not going to review that here. That's going to be a separate video altogether. So please hit that like button, share, comment, subscribe. What every YouTuber pushes out, they'd say the same thing. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment down below. The whole 9 yards. I'm the exact same way. We on the road to 150 subscribers. We are at 129. So we got 129 people in the nosebleed section, still trying to grow the nosebleed section. But very good press conference. I don't feel like I started this video saying that a lot of these coaches come in and they try to win the press conference and win the media room and try to win the fan base and the whole nine. But like, there was none of that here. There was none of that. He answered questions thoroughly. He answered them honestly. There wasn't no, obviously this is the introductory, so there is no Monkenism so far. He shut down Mary Kay instantaneously with that second question that she tried to ask. And anything that wasn't warranted to an answer, he didn't answer. He was very respectful about it. He wasn't disrespectful about it. He wasn't, invasive or not invasive, elusive or ducking questions. He just said, hey, look, I cannot talk about the process of, what happened last year with Shador, because that's a different organization. We're not there now. Y'all talk about, questions about 2019 brought up. I'm a different person. I'm a different coach. The game has changed and I'm adapting to that. So it seems like to me, the Cleveland Browns got an adaptive head coach, whether it's personnel or the way the game goes, and is still willing to go to the old school ways of taking the points that are available. He probably will not go for it on a 4th and 1 in good field goal range, and he'll probably take the 3 points so he can get it. He's not gonna sit there and be down 31-23 and go for 2 when you could just kick the extra point where your field goal kicker is hot. And you can just kick the extra point and then score a touchdown again. Hey, guess what? You don't have to go for 2 again because you can just kick the extra point. So it sounds like to me that we got a coach that's adaptive. That is adaptive, yet a little bit of old school minded. To me, like I said, not the biggest fan of head coaches making the play calls, but that's just how it is now, especially with these offensive coaches. That's how it is. What can I do? I'm just here to talk about it on YouTube. my thought process on this hiring has completely changed, not because of this press conference, but leading up to this press conference, as things settled down, as I had more time to think about it, do more research. I am not sitting back and saying like this is a home run hire, but I'm not as disappointed. I'm not as frustrated. I'm not as confused as I was last week. Last week was the instant shock of, Monken getting hired over Schwartz being mad, me thinking that, hey, he's pretty much long gone, but time heals everything. And time changes perspective. If Jim Schwartz don't want to be here, I say let him go. I say you got to at least try to talk to him. Seemed like Todd Monken has talked to him. We don't know what that conversation was about. And to be honest with you, we don't need to know what that conversation was about. That's between two grown-ass men. You know what I'm saying? But we got to at least try to talk to him. And, even respect the fact that, hey, you know what? We'll let you listen to other offers with the Raiders, with the Cardinals, with Philadelphia. We'll let you listen to other offers. But we're going to put our offer on the table as well. But if Schwartz don't want to be here, he don't want to be here. And yes, it's going to suck that Schwartz won't be here. But at the end of the day, we gotta bring in personnel that needs to be here to get this defense ready. Our defense needs to stay intact while we try to build this offense, because our defense, again, is going to be carrying a lot of the load like they have been over the last 2.5 years. That's just plain fact and simple. Really carrying the load since Jim Schwartz been here. So we need to get a defensive coordinator with a similar philosophy and a similar scheme. Plain and simple. But I'm not mad. I never really was mad. I was just more disappointed. And I know we hear that a lot with our parents. They're like, oh, I'm not mad at you, son. I'm just disappointed in you. I'm just disappointed at the hire. But you know what? I like this hire. I'm cautiously optimistic, meaning I'm excited to see where this goes. I'm very curious to see where this goes. But if it leads to nothing, it's just, hey, that's the Cleveland Browns, and that's the Cleveland Browns way. Because it's been 26 years of absolute bullshit. And this is the 11th head coach since the Browns have came back in 1999, which means he is the 11th head coach in my lifetime. And I hope that it is successful to the point where he can just stay here for 5 to 10 years and retire. But this is his one shot. This is one chance, because there was nobody that was looking to hire Todd Monken. And I will admit, that was the same way with Kevin Stefanski. It worked out in the beginning. It didn't work out towards the end. It got stale very fast. He got stale very fast. And you see how fast he's hiring people that used to be on the Browns, and now they're calling them the Atlanta Browns, because it's none of a Brown staff member. He's just bang, 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 bang. He's trying to prove. Kevin Stefanski is the girl that is trying to prove that she was not wrong in the situation. And Monken is coming in, and let's just see what happens. Time will tell. But I'm very excited about that. Like I say, please hit that like button, please share, please subscribe. And thank you all for watching. This is Tyrell from the Nosebleeds. Hit that notification bell. Like I said, separate video on and Jimmy Haslam and Andrew Berry. That more likely will be coming out tomorrow. I'm going to be recording that tomorrow. That'll probably drop tomorrow. Also tomorrow, we're going to be talking about the Royal Rumble and WWE for all my wrestling fans. So hit that notification bell. Definitely don't want to miss out on that. I may have a special guest for that or not. Trying to set that up right now. State of the channel, as that is my I think we're going to start doing that bi-monthly, but that is just my annual update. More tapping in more into what's going on with me personally, and saying thank you to all the subscribers, all the watchers, supporters. Doesn't even matter if you just looked at this go, this guy stinks. Get out of my phone. Get off the television. You stink. There's some random bozo is talking to me in the computer. Get him out of here. Even if you're doing that, see, one person just left as it is already. So, if you be like, hey, get him out of here. I don't want to talk about this guy no more. I don't want to see this guy no more. Fine. You know what I'm saying? But, just for popping in, just for giving me a glimpse of a chance, even if it's 5 seconds, 10 seconds, or the whole live stream. Thank you guys so very much. It's fun doing this, and we've been doing this consistently since July. We had like our first video around this time last year. When I rebranded from Technically It Is Real from the Nosebleeds. Kind of get into the whatchamacallit right now. But nonetheless, just thank you all. We this channel is growing, and I must be doing something right. You know what I'm saying? So, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Until next time, this is Tyrell from the Nosebleed. Thank you all for joining the Nosebleed section. Like I said, hit the like button, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. This is going to be on demand as well. So check out the replays and check out all the replays to the lives. Check out all the videos on the channel. They're all up there in playlist or just in the video or live tab. Until next time, signing off. Just when I thought I was signing off, I'm looking at my phone. It's a good thing I let the music play out a little bit. Just when I thought I was signing off. Now, this has been rumored the entire time. Yeah, the Nosebleed section is back open. It's been rumored the entire time, but let's get into a little bit of Cavs basketball, right? It's official. According to Shams, James Harden is a Cleveland Cavalier. I'm trying to figure out what the French toast this does for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm just going to say this real quick because I'm literally about to end the live stream, got on my phone, see that my boy Shams reported that James Harden is going to be a Cleveland Cavalier. I've said Darius Garland got to be traded privately. The lights are always too bright for him. But then we get a guy that's older and the lights are too bright for. The lights are always too bright for James Harden when it matters the most. So what is the point of this? Like, we're trying to now we're the organization trying to build a super team of 2018, 2019. James Harden, I know it's been rumored all day. Look, it's right there. It is official. It is official. I know it's been rumored all day, but that doesn't mean that we need a young person and Garland that hasn't showed up when it mattered the most. And now you bring in James Harden, who's older, who costs more money, and the lights are too bright for him when it comes down to the playoffs. And you got to figure out how James Harden and Donovan Mitchell are going to play together. Who's going to run the point? Because James Harden got to get his touches. How is that locker room dynamic going to work? Are they going to try to get Giannis before Thursday? I'm just not a fan of this trade. And I genuinely want to know what you guys think in the comments section. What y'all think about this trade with the Cleveland Cavaliers acquiring James Harden for Darius Garland? Like I said, reported this is officially Shams. I know people love the Woj bomb. I miss Woj, but this is the best we get. What, it was around this time last year? Was it almost to the day? Maybe a day off from a year ago, or a day after from a year ago, he dropped the Luka trade. But I don't know how I feel about Spider and Harden. I just genuinely don't know how this is going to work. Look, they're frying him in the comment section. One guy goes, Donovan Mitchell watching James Harden go 3 for 17 in a must-win playoff game. And the Cavs literally play the Clippers tomorrow in Los Angeles. So we get to see that. You're saying, yeah, we don't. Yeah. Sham says for the Cavaliers, acquiring one of the NBA's greatest 75 players has the ability to elevate the team's ceiling as they continue to contend for a title out of the Eastern Conference. It aligns two high-powered, multifaceted engines in Harden and Donovan Mitchell. This is not a good fit. Their styles is way too similar. And to be honest with you, what you're going to put Donovan at the 3? Because you got, in my opinion, you have to have Dennis Schroeder out there to facilitate the ball between these two men. Their styles are way too similar. Way too similar. I'm not a fan of this trade whatsoever. I'm not. So, with that being said, we're now we're gone. Thank you all for watching. This is Tyra from the Nosebleeds. James Harden is officially a Cleveland Cavalier. Peace.